Hi, welcome to Denver Online High School's virtual information session. My name is Casey Sintek, and I am the Marketing and Communication Specialist for Denver Online. So we will start out, and I will go ahead and share my screen. All right, so that we're all looking at the same thing. So we'll just kind of start out with some general information about our school. So we are actually part of the Denver Public School District. So we are a free public high school, and we're just like any other high school in the district, except that we're an online and blended learning program. We're currently rated as exceeding expectations. So we are blue rated, which is a distinguished rating on the DPS alternative framework. So there are multiple different things that we're rated on, everything from student achievement to post-secondary readiness to family and student engagement and a whole laundry list of other things. But we are doing really well. And so that's important for any school, but it's especially important for an online school because we meet a lot of challenges along the way that traditional high schools don't necessarily always have to overcome. And so being a blue distinguished rating is a really, really good thing for an online school. We have both online and blended learning courses available. So we actually started out at Denver Online as a completely online school. But what we were finding is that our students were missing the connection. And so what we try to build into our program are these opportunities to connect with both students with their peers, but also students with their teachers and their community as well. And so we brought in a lot of different blended learning courses, so meaning that courses that are actually held in building at our campus. And all of our courses are recognized by both in-state and out-of-state universities. And all of our courses are taught by real teachers. So that's kind of a funny thing to bring up, but actually there are online programs where it's just more of a canned curriculum for students where there really isn't a lot of interaction with the teacher involved. But behind every course that we offer is a real teacher that a student can always communicate with. So they can meet via Zoom, which is what we're recording on right now. But that's an opportunity for them to actually just meet with their teacher virtually. They can also always come into our school building and talk with that teacher and during their scheduled office hours and actually connect that way. They can always email or call or text their teachers as well. And then that teacher is also the creator of that content, and they are also able to adapt content to meet student needs. So if a student actually needs, to be challenged in certain areas, or if they need more help in certain areas, that teacher can actually personalize that course to meet that student's needs. So that's really nice. Courses sometimes will use Zoom video conferencing. So like what we're doing right now, this is a recorded version obviously, but teachers and students can meet in these virtual classrooms where we can all kind of see each other and talk to each other and that kind of thing. So they might have group discussions that way. And then there's also, and then we also have courses that are, just online and they can work just at their own pace and that kind of thing. So they utilize a bunch of different ways of connecting within those courses. And all of our courses have NCAA credits attached to them. So all of them are accepted by the NCAA. The general student requirements are that the student just must maintain Colorado residency. So we actually have students that are located all over the globe right now. So we have, students that are in Germany playing soccer and being models in Russia and all these different places and cool experiences. But as long as they can maintain Colorado residency, they're good to go. Students should not yet be 21 at the start of the school year, and we just do ask that all of our students have a computer that they can work on from home, just because it makes it a lot easier. So they can always work from our lab, of course they can, but it is definitely easier if they have their own laptop or a computer at home. We do have these two options. So we do have online courses. So those courses are available 24/7. So if you work better in the evenings or on the weekends, you can do that. If you have a job during the day, you can kind of manipulate your schedule to get your courses done like around that schedule. And also our students can work over breaks. So let's take, for example, winter break. If a student was behind or just wanted to get ahead, they can actually work through that break to get ahead or to catch up in their coursework. So that's really nice, and that's not something that you necessarily have in a traditional high school. All of the classes will utilize some of them will utilize video conferencing, like what we're doing. Some of them will have discussion boards, online modules. There's a lot of different ways that those courses are created, kind of depending on the class that's being taught. Students are able to work at their own pace, and so that's really nice because some students are just bored in a traditional school and they get bored with the busy work and having to wait for their peers to catch up. So in that case, they can just work ahead. They can just keep, plodding along and just kind of get as much work done as they can at their own time. But some students will need some extra time to cover certain areas, like for example math. Math might take a little bit longer, might be harder to grasp, and so in that case they don't have to worry about trying to keep up with their peers. They can take more time to truly understand, to get extra help, that kind of thing. And so it is a lot more of a work at your own pace type of thing. Attendance works differently for our school than it would at a traditional school. So for us, attendance is based on a student's ability to complete a week's worth of work each week. So as I'll show you a little bit later, all of the courses are divided up into weekly folders. So within every single course, they have weekly folders. So week 1, as long as you complete all of the courses or all of the material in week 1 folder for that week, you get full attendance points. So if a student does get behind, it is no problem, but they're always just judged on how much schoolwork they get done in that week. So as long as they're completing a week's worth of work, then they're good to go and they'll get full attendance points. With that too, every quiz, every course assignment, every test, every project, everything within that course, everything has a due date attached to it. And so, but those are mainly for pacing, so to keep a student on track. But a lot of times teachers will actually give extra credit for students that can turn in assignments on or before those due dates. So even if they can totally turn them in after those due dates, but they'll actually have, a lot of times, have an incentive to keep with those due dates. So that's kind of nice. We also have these blended learning options, so in-person workshops, classes, and special opportunities. So for example, some semesters we might have 3 video game design, or Art for Masters poetry workshop, or Lighthouse Writers workshop, which is a creative writing workshop. All of those opportunities are actually in-house and at our campus at Smedley Learning Center. Students can get credit for those activities, and they're just a really nice, it's a really nice blend to have just like the online courses, but also these in-person workshops that are more hands-on. If for anybody that's interested in art, our art teacher is awesome, and she works with the Denver Art Society, and so we host 2 different student art shows every year. One is a digital art show, and one is a traditional art show, but we'll actually have an art show at that gallery and have a gallery viewing where anybody that wants to go and check out the student artwork can go, and so students can get credit for that as well. All right, and then other credit earning opportunities. I make sure that if our families don't hear anything else, they hear this, because this is huge. So concurrent enrollment is really big for our school. So what concurrent enrollment is it allows our students to take college courses at whatever community college they'd like, or CSU Global, and we pay their tuition to take those college courses. So when they take those college courses, they're getting both high school credit and college credit for every course they take. And mind you, we're paying their tuition to take those courses. And so it is a huge way to get a whole bunch of college credit out of the way before you even graduate high school. And so what is really cool too with that is that if a student is able to get 12 college credits by the end of their senior year through concurrent enrollment, they are actually eligible to participate in the College First program, which is also known as Ascent. But that allows a student to go a whole year completely tuition free to a community college in the year directly after they graduate high school. And so with that, if they didn't want to go to a community college, then they could also go to an in-state state college, but Ascent would basically pay for the community college rate, and then the family would have to pay the difference between that. But still, that's a huge opportunity. That's a whole bunch of college being paid for that you don't have to pay for. So it's a really awesome opportunity. And actually, we had the first student ever in DPS this year, and probably in Colorado as a whole, but to earn his 4-year bachelor's degree in the same month that he graduated from high school. And so that's pretty unheard of, but he did it because he totally capitalized on concurrent enrollment and he just went for it. And so we don't necessarily encourage everyone to go out and get their 4-year bachelor degree while they're still in high school, but a handful of our students will graduate with their associate's degree in college or just a bunch of college credit by the end of their senior year. So that is a great opportunity to look into. For other specialty credit, if a student is working and they're getting paid, they can get work study credit. If they're volunteering, they can get service learning credit. And then independent study would be basically if a student is interested in something that we don't necessarily have a course for, we can kind of build a course around that and to hopefully get them credit for that, for their participation in whatever activity they're doing. This is our learning center. So this is Smedley Learning Center, and this is our home. So this is where teachers, you can always find teachers and our faculty there, and students can always come in and work at our school building in our multitude of labs and computers there. We also have a satellite site at Thomas Jefferson, if that's closer. It's not a huge lab, but there are a few computers there for our students to work at, and also our counselor and student advisor is there. They are there twice a week, and so if that's closer to your family, then you're welcome to stop in there as well. This is our team at Denver Online, and I always tell families it's not a huge staff, but it is a staff that really cares a ton about students. And I think that as you get to know Denver Online and the faculty there, you'll agree, hopefully. And then just a little bit about our enrollment process. So we have 3 types of enrollment. So we have full-time enrollment, which is the type of enrollment that most of our students will be under. For that, it is completely free for the student. And also, it's just saying that Denver Online High School is the primary high school that the student is at. We also offer part-time and supplemental enrollment. Part-time enrollment would be like if a student was taking half their courses at one high school, half of them at our school, they would probably be under part-time. Supplemental is if a student is basically just taking 1 or 2 classes at Denver Online High School, but their primary high school is elsewhere. They would probably be under supplemental enrollment. Now, just because a student is full-time enrolled with us doesn't mean they can't take a supplemental course at another high school. So if they, for example, if they wanted to take be under Denver Online High School as a full-time student so that it's free to them, they can still go and take a supplemental course, like say at the Career Education Center or Emily Griffith or wherever. And they can still do that. And so, and a lot of our families do. But with that part-time or supplemental, it's just $200 a course. And sometimes that is paid by the school, the other school, and sometimes that's paid by the family. It just kind of depends on what you've kind of worked out with that other school. And then we do offer summer school, but summer school is only offered to our students that are currently enrolled as full-time students come summertime. But for summer school, it is free to our full-time students. So for enrollment times, we do only really enroll students twice a year. And so the biggest time is in the summertime for fall enrollment. And so for that, our courses will actually begin August 20th for first semester. And then second semester, we do enroll a handful more of students. And those are just enrollments kind of based on how many people have transitioned out, just kind of how many spots we have opened up. So it's a lot smaller. It's just a lot smaller wave of enrollment, but there are some options to enroll on the semester if that's something that you're interested in. But for that, classes will begin January 9th. And then summer school will begin in June for full-time students that want to take advantage of that. To apply, you'll just go onto our website here, and I'll show you. So if this is our website, this is kind of a snapshot of it, you'll just click that yellow apply button on the left-hand side of the screen, and that will bring you to a thing called the student interest application, and it's just a quick survey about just general information about the student. And then from there, we will call you, your family, to set up a student enrollment meeting. And for that student enrollment meeting, you'll come into our school building and meet with one of our administrators. Most of the time it's our principal, but one of our administrators will interview the student and a parent. But that's just a good time to kind of talk about the school. So they'll kind of walk you through our program, what we're all about. But that's also a good time for them to meet you guys and to know your story, and just to make sure that it's a good fit all around, and that everyone's on the same page. At the time, you'll also bring in paperwork like birth certificate, proof of residency, immunization record, and transcripts. All of that, so we have that on file. Sometimes from that, the administrator will ask that the student complete a 2-week test drive course. That's not all the time, but that is sometimes. And sometimes a family can just request that if they wanted to try out the online platform and just kind of see what it's all about. From there, students will be accepted to attend new student orientation, and that's usually a 3-day orientation at our school building where students will come in and just kind of learn, how to navigate the program. They'll meet all of their teachers, they'll meet their peers, and just kind of learn about all the opportunities that come with our high school. With that, we also have a new parent orientation every semester as well. And so we want to make sure that our students and our parents get off to a good start at our school. And we realize that our school does function a little bit differently than a regular high school. And so we just want to make sure that everyone kind of has a great start and knows exactly where to go if they have any questions. And And also with the new parent orientation, every parent actually gets their own Schoology account, so where they can monitor their students' progress. And so we kind of bring them through that program as well to kind of show, how to check in on your student and just kind of navigate that program. And then to apply as a part-time or supplemental student, that works just a little bit differently just because we have to work with that other high school. And so for that, we just ask that you connect our counselors together. So whatever high school that you're working with already, their counselor should connect with our counselor at our school with the information kind of down below on the bottom slide here. So student name, DPS ID, yada, yada. But so that we can kind of figure out how to create that course best for that student. All right. And then how online education and blended learning works. For us, we actually use 3 main tools at Denver Online High School. So the first is Schoology, which is our learning management system where all of our courses are located. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in just a second. The second is Zoom, like what we're doing right now. This is a recorded version, obviously, but in traditional, it would be live, so live class session times or live tutoring sessions. And then finally our Learning Center, and we'll talk more about that in a second. All right, so this is just kind of a snapshot of what Schoology looks like. And so you can kind of see on the left-hand side, there are different, when you kind of log into Schoology, there will be an announcement section on the main screen. And so there's going to be announcements for our school, like if there's any events coming up or field trips or just anything that we need from families, there will be announcements there. And you'll also get announcements in there for every group that you're involved in. So let's say that you're in the drama club. So the drama club has their own group in Schoology, and so you would also see, if you were involved in the drama club, then you would see announcements from the drama club. So in there, if you're a parent, then you're going to automatically be in our parent group for Denver Online. So any announcements that were for the parent group, you'd also see in this feed as well. But you can kind of see that there's grades on the left-hand side. You can kind of see on the right-hand side where there's like a calendar of events and different assignments due. You can kind of see that on the top. You can see like a little mail icon, and that's where you can message people in there. So you can message your teachers and that kind of thing. So lots of different things kind of going on, but I always kind of think it looks like Facebook a little bit. And so it's really easy to navigate though. And I think you'll find that as well if you've never used it. So this is kind of just showing you inside of a student's account. So this is, you can kind of see that this student has English and a homeroom course here. So if you click in there, and that'll be on the next slide, but if you click in one of those, then you'd see different folders for the weekly folders and that kind of thing. But you can kind of see the grades and attendance for those two courses as well. On the bottom, you can see a calendar. So the calendar is going to implement just kind of everything that you need to know. So, and there's different ways to see like different views. So if you wanted to just see kind of what's going on in the school in general, like upcoming events like the back to school barbecue or graduation or new student orientation or anything like that, that will be in the calendar and under our school view. Well, let's say that you just wanted to see when your English assignments are due. Well, all those will be under your English course calendar. And so you can kind of just click in there and see what assignments are due day by day for your English. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of personalize that. So if you wanted to just see everything that was happening on that day, like all of your assignments that were due, but then also all of the school events that were happening that day, you can also see it that way as well. So you can kind of personalize it to show what you wanted to. And then this is kind of taking a look inside one course. So we're in Miss White's homeroom course. And so you can kind of see there's a course introduction and resources folder to start out every course. So that's in across all of our classes at Denver Online. All of them will start out with a course introduction and resources folder. And so that's where students will find information about how to connect with their teacher, their Zoom link, to meet virtually, their email address, just kind of everything that you need to know to have a good start into the course. But from there, you can see the weekly folders, so week 1, week 2, and so forth. Once you click in those, you'll see a list of assignments, and then you click in the assignment, obviously, and then you can kind of see what that is. Sometimes they'll have you like upload a Google document or a Word document. If it's an essay or if it's a math assignment, you might have to this actually also turns into like a virtual whiteboard, the computer can in Schoology. And so you would actually basically just, like some math courses, you would just write out your math problems, but only it would just be virtually, that kind of thing. So it just kind of depends on what assignment a student is working on. But all of those courses and all of those assignments would be located under there. So this is kind of taking a look at the grades section. And so in this, you can see, so different assignments are graded. You can kind of see what date they were due. But towards the right, you can kind of see a puzzle icon. If a puzzle icon is there, that means that a student has turned in an assignment. If there's no puzzle icon, then that means that a student has not turned in an assignment. So it's easy as a parent to go in and see very quickly, hey, my student did or did not turn in an assignment. From there, you can see if an assignment has been graded. So like, let's say this one, it's 50 out of 100. And so it has been graded, but there's also this little icon over here that is like a note icon. So if you clicked on that, that would show a teacher has left a note for that student. So it might say anything from, something like, hey, like, can you redo this essay and just write in complete sentences and I'll regrade it. So always look at those notes to the right as well, because that's just from a note from the teacher. But yeah, you can quickly see if assignment's been turned in, if that assignment has been graded and what the grade was, and if there's any notes from that teacher. You can also see for every assignment, when it's due. You can also click in that assignment. And so as a parent, you can basically see exactly what a student will see, except that you can't turn in the work for them. And so it doesn't allow you to actually turn in the work for them. But you can see what the assignment is, what the student actually turned in, so you can actually see their assignment. So let's say that you see a little puzzle icon over here. So you know a student turned in an assignment, but let's say that you looked at that assignment and all they turned in is a blank document. Well, you can see that as a parent and say, oh, heck no, like go back and redo that. And so that's kind of nice as well. All right, and then moving on to Zoom, just like I talked about before, some classes will utilize live class session times where they all meet on Zoom. If that happens and there are live class session times, the student will receive credit for attending those, but there is always a makeup assignment if a student is unable to attend those live class session times. But Zoom is also, our faculty uses it a lot for tutoring sessions. So I feel like especially for math, if a student runs into a problem and can't make it into the school, it's no big deal. They can always just access their teachers using Zoom. So every teacher has their own Zoom link. And so with that, if a student runs into a problem, they just have to click their own teacher's Zoom link, and it will basically launch them into a virtual classroom where that teacher will meet them. All right, and then finally, our Learning Center is our final tool that we use at Denver Online High School, and that's for those blended learning options. So what we've implemented are things called connection days, and those are for our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, and they will meet every Tuesday from 9 to 2 at our school building. And what those are is it's an opportunity to give whole child supports. And so we brought those in because our students really were lacking that sense of community and connectedness. And so what these days are all about is bringing in that sense of community and connection. And so kind of how those days run is that students will start in their homerooms. So it's a single teacher that they meet with every week, and it's the same group of students that they'll see every week. So kind of just a check-in, and that teacher is kind of like their cheerleader and just kind of their go-to person. And then from there, students will actually be able to choose which workshop they want to go to. So for every period, there's different workshops that they can go to. So for example, the science room might be hosting a science lab for that day. So instead of doing like the online simulation for that science course, they can actually do the hands-on experiment during that period during Connection Day. Those are also, connection days are also when those outside organizations come in and lead the workshop. So for example, that's when we would have our Art from Ashes poetry workshop and that kind of thing. So students can kind of pick and choose what they want to do those days. On those days, we also have college and career readiness activities, and we also have service learning activities. So one of the biggest service learning activities we do is working with Children's Hospital Colorado. And our students will actually do team projects and work to actually create and then lead out these service projects with the hospital. So lots of fun things happening on those days. For our seniors, those are a little bit different just because our seniors are usually have much different schedules than our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. So a lot of our seniors will have college classes that they're taking, or they're working, or they're, whatever it is for them. And so for those are a little bit shortened. So those are every other Friday from 10 to 1. But before and after those days, so earlier in that morning and later in the afternoon, we will have tutoring session time available. So if students ever wanted to get extra help, they can always come in before or after on those days as well. And also they can come in any other day as well. But mostly that time is dedicated to working with our seniors on those Fridays. But what happens on those days are primarily college and career readiness focused. We also have freshman support days. And so that was created to truly just focus on our freshmen. We were seeing that our freshmen just needed some extra help to get off to a good start in high school. And so they kind of were lacking some of the skills that it really took to manage their time. And, there's just a learning curve to coming to an online school. And so we created our freshman support days. And those will be held on Thursdays from 9 to 2. They're not as they're not as strict, I guess, on scheduling, but it is days dedicated to helping specifically our freshmen. Obviously, other students can come those days, but those days are we'll be working with freshmen a lot more than we might on other days. And then exemptions are possible for these in-person days. We do try to have students come in if they can to those days because we think they're really important. But of course, not all of our students are located around Denver or they have really conflicting schedules. So for those, there are exemptions possible. All right, and then traits of a successful online student. So our motto at Denver Online High School is to do more. And so we chose that because we believe that the flexibility of online education actually allows our students to do more than they would at a traditional high school. Meaning that one of my favorite things that I get to do in my job is that I get to tell our students stories. And they're all very unique in the way that online education fits into their lives. So we have everything from competitive ballet dancers to hockey players to soccer players to students in rock bands to students who are interning or working, or some of them have kids of their own that they're trying to support. Some of them have health issues that they're overcoming. And so it's just kind of interesting to see how online education fits into their lives. But in every capacity, that online piece, that flexibility piece, really is allowing our students to do some really cool and special things that they might not have at a traditional school. And sometimes people ask, well, you know, are students actually, if they're really busy and they're doing these other things, are they even really doing well in school then? And the answer is yes. Like the students that are actually living that do more motto, when they're actually, you know, they are really busy, they actually have 25% higher attendance rates. They usually graduate 8 credits, or they're usually 8 credits ahead, and they have a 33% higher GPA than just regular students that don't necessarily have those extra things. And so once students kind of figure out that time management piece and really like have a hold of their education and they're able to kind of take control of that, these students flourish, and it really sets them up really well for after they graduate high school and going into college or their future careers or whatever that looks like for their lives. All right, and then if you spend any time at Denver Online High School at all, you will learn quickly about our 6 pillars of success. And we cover these a lot and often because we do really believe in them. So we'll start with attendance. So attendance is just a student's ability to show up. And so that looks like different things in different areas. So attendance for their courses is just completing schoolwork. Continue to complete schoolwork, that week's worth of work each week. It also looks like if you say that you're going to be there for a tutoring session at the school, it's attending, it's showing up and following through with that. Communication. So we have a 24-hour rule at Denver Online High School, and that is that if a student reaches out to us, we should be able to communicate back with that student within 24 hours. But then we also ask the same in return. So if we reach out to a student or a parent, we do ask that you guys communicate back with us within that 24-hour window as well. And that's just to make sure that we maintain a good flow of communication because in this environment, it is very different. And so if we can kind of just make sure that we're always communicating and that kind of thing, it just makes things a lot easier and for everyone. We don't want any student to ask a question from a teacher and that teacher to get back to them 5 days later. That's not helpful. That's really inefficient. So we want to make sure that those barriers of communication are broken down. And communication can look like a multitude of things too. So we use texting at our school. So you can text teachers if you'd like. You can call, you can email, you can message them on Schoology, you can Zoom with them. Lots of different ways to communicate with your teachers. Compliance and follow-through are the third area of success, and that's primarily targeted at the fact that we do still have to do district and state testing, and so we do ask that for that you guys do come in. Unfortunately, we don't have an option to do it any other way except for students to come in building to do that district and state testing, and so we do ask that no matter if you're abroad or that kind of thing, that when you are, back in Denver, that you do show up and complete that testing. Academic skill is just basically being committed to learning. So we know that every student comes with their own abilities, things that they're good at, things that they're not so good at. And it's just being committed to learning, being committed to just continuing to grow. And even if you're not great at that area, just knowing that you'll get better. Self-advocacy is huge at Denver Online because we don't always necessarily get to see the student's face. So if a student is struggling in a certain area, let's say they're struggling in science, we don't always get to see them. We don't always get to see the grimace on their face as they try to get through that lab, or we don't get to see how long it took them to complete that assignment. And so if a student is ever struggling or needs extra help or anything like that, we just ask that you communicate with us and advocate for yourself or for your student to get extra help, because we can't really help you if we don't know that there's an obstacle that you're trying to overcome. And so that goes hand in hand with just if you're ever wanting to do something that we're not necessarily offering. So if there was something that you're super interested in, like an extra course or something that we don't necessarily offer, just talk to us about it, because we're more than happy to try to get you connected, to take a course like that, but we won't know that unless you actually tell us that you're interested in that. So for example, we had a student that came to our school and they wanted to take Chinese. We don't really offer Chinese at our school, but we found another option for them to take Chinese elsewhere, and we actually paid for them to take that course at that other school. And so there are lots of different options in that way. Also, just within a course. So if you're really interested in something, sometimes teachers can adapt that course to fit what you're interested in. So for example, we had a student that does competitive dance. And so she was in a pre-professional ballet program. And so they were reading Romeo and Juliet. And instead of doing a final essay, she said, hey, do you think that I can kind of express this, my essay, but in a dance format, and actually create a dance for this instead? And so the teacher was like, yes, of course, let's do it. That's so awesome. And so she actually created a dance for this to kind of show what Romeo and Juliet, what that was her final project. And so in that case, we can kind of adapt courses to fit those student needs as well. And so self-advocacy is huge. Speak up if there's something that you're wanting to do. And then resilience is huge as well at our school. So we kind of have an ongoing joke that it's not if you'll get behind, it's when you get behind. And that's just because it's just the beast. It's just the nature of the beast with our school. It's tough. It's tough coming into our school just because, not everyone is great at managing their time right off the get-go. And so it's learning how to adapt to this new environment, this new school environment, this new flexibility. But it's just being resilient and knowing that even if you get behind, it is okay, and that we just want you to get caught up. And so one thing that's kind of funny with our school is that if anything, we're probably over communicators at Denver Online, and so you'll definitely hear from us. So if a student does fall behind, it won't take months and months to hear from us to let you know that, hey, what's going on. It's a couple days later and we're like, hey, are you okay? Are you struggling with anything? How can I help you? And so when we communicate with those families or the student about being behind, it's never because we're upset or anything like that. We're never angry, but we just want to help that student to get back on track and make sure that we're doing our best to make sure that that student has everything they need to be successful. So resilience, just knowing that it's okay if you're not perfect, and just picking yourself up and getting back at it. All right, and then finally, why Denver Online High School? So I know there are a lot of online and blended learning programs to choose from, but we think ours is pretty special. And it comes down to our people, first off. And so our staff, we aren't a huge staff, but we actually have a pretty awarded staff. So on the top left here, you can see that's our counselor, Casey Burton. He was awarded the Colorado Department of Education Counselor of the Year award for online and blended learning programs for Colorado. Down below, we have math teacher Gil Palomino. And then to the right of that, we have our English teacher, Jessica Glynn. But both of those guys, they actually won the Teacher of the Year award by the Colorado Department of Education for online and blended learning schools in different years. But they've both been awarded that as well. And then on the top right, you can see that's Principal Ian Jones, and he was awarded by our Denver Public School District as living the shared core value of collaboration. And that's important because he does a really, really excellent job at collaborating with a bunch of different organizations in order to create a personalized education for each student. And so we know that our students are very, very different. And so having a lot of different avenues that our students can kind of go on is really important. And it's important to him. So, and he's really good at it. And then finally, that picture on the right is of our art teacher, Elisa Narashnaya. And she is awesome, but she won the Mayor's Award for Innovation in Arts. And so some people kind of wonder how she's teaching art online, and she does it very creatively. And hopefully you'll get to take some of her courses if you ever are interested in art. And then finally, it's just personal and fun. So we have worked really hard to create a very thriving culture at Denver Online because we didn't want a school that bred isolation. We didn't want our students to feel isolated just at home and never see anybody else. We want to know our students. We want them to know us. And so there's a lot of different opportunities for our students to connect. And so we have everything from dances to a very personalized graduation where, yes, our students do walk across the stage, and it is a really great ceremony where every single student that walks across the stage gets talked about. We read a bio about that student, and it's just a really nice celebration. We have a student store, social media. We have free monthly field trips for our students to go on, and so for those, both transportation and admission to wherever we go is included in that, so students don't have to pay for anything. We also have school clubs. We have like talent contests and musicals and back to school barbecue. We also have service learning opportunities for them to like go and serve in their community. So a lot of different things happening at our school, but lots of ways to connect and just feel part of our community. And then finally, to conclude, we also do have extra support for academic success. So every year, our biggest event of the year is called Planning for Success, which is a college and career readiness event. And for that, we have the day kind of kicks off with a motivational speaker, and then it goes into 3 rounds of breakout workshops that students and parents can choose from. And so depending on what avenue you want to go on, maybe it's college, maybe it's entrepreneurial track, maybe it's working, maybe it's volunteering abroad, whatever that looks like. There's multiple different workshops kind of geared towards that different, that pathway. Lots of internships, opportunities, lots of things, scholarships, those kinds of things for the workshops. And then finally the day concludes with a big college fair. And so for that, a bunch of colleges are represented around Colorado that you can talk to personally. We also provide breakfast and lunch free of charge. And we also give out different prizes throughout the day, including a couple different scholarships, which students can use on different, it doesn't necessarily always have to be on college. It can be on if they wanted to take a special class or if they wanted to attend a special camp or start their own entrepreneurial business or something like that. They can use those scholarships to kind of initiate that as well. Like I said prior, we also have student orientations and parent orientations every semester. That's to make sure that we all get off on a good start at Denver Online, and that everybody feels equipped and good to go. And then finally, students are also paired with an advisor. So they have their homeroom teachers as their, number one cheerleader, but they also are paired with an advisor. And their advisor is truly the person that they're going to go to for anything with their courses, changing courses, adding courses, that kind of thing, anything college. If they wanted to do concurrent enrollment, like we talked about, they would talk with their advisor to start that. We have some awesome advisors at our school, and so those are always a really good point of contact as well. So that kind of concludes our overview of Denver Online High School. But if you ever have any other questions, you can always go to our website and kind of look around there. But then also, if you click on the Contact tab on the right-hand side of the website, you can see a list of all of our faculty members as well. So if you wanted to connect with our principal or our counselor or me, you can do that as well there. So thank you so much for joining me for this virtual information session. And hopefully we will see you soon at Denver Online High School.